I replayed Kirby's Epic Yarn to celebrate its 10-year anniversary, and my god, it's easy. It's easier than cracking an egg. Well, I want to play a video game that's harder than me at 3 AM. I can't be seen as a baby playing Kirby's Epic Yarn. Oh, I know. I should try a rhythm game, like Osu. It didn't even get past the fucking menu and I lost. Oh well, I'll just play the Messenger instead. Should be able to prove that I'm not a baby. The Messenger is an action platforming game developed by indie studio Sabotage Studio and published by Devolver Digital, released on October 30th, 2018 on Steam and Switch, March 19th, 2019 on PlayStation 4, and June 25th, 2020 on Xbox One. Once again, the Xbox fans get the short end of the stick with the release dates. The Messenger is a side-scrolling platformer that you can call Shovel Knight Ninja Gaiden, and fewer people would get pissed at you than usual. You're given a prompt to give your name, so I take the opportunity to name myself the most fitting name I can give. Don't shoot. The Messenger starts off in a world where the last survivors of humanity are a village of ninjas. Legend of this world states that an army of demons are fated to attack the ninja village, but it is also said that a hero is to save the village, known as the Western Hero. You take control of the ninja, and boom, terrorism. The ninja just so happens to witness the attack, and also have the Western Hero appear before him.
Tag, you're it.
And now the ninja is given the role of the messenger and the responsibility to take some random, totally unimportant scroll up to the Glacial Peak, where 3 sages await. With his village being destroyed by big fat 4-headed fuck and his 10 times more badass general, our hero, Don't Shoot the Messenger, begins his journey. Since the Messenger is a side-scrolling platformer, you've got the standard run, jump, and murder everything that stands in your path stuff that you already know about. Your main attack is with your sword, which you can use to strike enemies and objects. Speaking of hitting things with your sword, you start off with the Cloud Step ability, which grants you an extra jump if you strike an object in mid-air, including enemies and projectiles. Only in the Messenger can performing a mid-air jump make you feel like a fucking badass. As you go through the world of the Messenger, you'll encounter these strange doors, which lead to the shop.
Ow. Fuck. I'll handle this one. The shop is...
Wait. Why are you literally crashing into my video?
Why not?
Well, it's the Ohjo channel, is it not? Also, are you okay?
You're doing less work with me here, aren't you?
Touché.
The shop is, of course, where the shopkeeper resides.
This doesn't look like a shop.
Do they look like a shopkeeper? Our mysterious robed friend over here tells stories, provides upgrades that benefit you immensely, gives you tips, and tells you not to touch the fucking cabinet.
Touch.
No touch.
Touch.
Congratulations, piss nut. You just triggered a huge amount of unskippable dialogue. Better have some time in your hands.
God damn it.
Most of the upgrades are purchased using time shards, which are found across the world and obtained when defeating enemies. But there are some that are given for free because you need them to progress the game. These include Climbing Claws, Wingsuit, and Rope Dart. With the free upgrades, the ninja's gameplay feels very fluid, satisfying, and makes you feel like you're pulling off badass moves while you're slouching in your chair.
Instead of purchasable upgrades feeling like you just wasting your time shards, these upgrades are genuinely helpful. They range from being able to destroy enemy projectiles with your sword, reducing damage, to gaining energy shurikens that are limited to charges which you can replenish through different means. In a game like The Messenger, where there's enemies, bottomless pits, spikes, and tricky jumps everywhere, death is inevitable. This is where Quarble comes in. Quarble is a greed demon that revives the ninja in exchange for swallowing some of the time shards he finds, and dishes out some mean remarks that may or may not break the fourth wall to remind you that you, indeed, did die.
Judging by how many times you see Quarble in the footage, you can definitely tell how good Ohjo is at video games. I mean, Quarble said it himself. He's feeling the acid reflux from all the time shards you're giving him.
Honestly, fuck you.
Yeah, love you too.
The levels in the Messenger all have a distinct aesthetic, and all play rather linearly with enemies everywhere and deadly traps. The sprite work here is really impressive and makes the areas feel unique. The level design in the Messenger utilizes ninjas' abilities, yet tests your skills in some very tight platforming. There's checkpoints scattered about levels which respawn you if you die, and some checkpoints also have a door that leads to the shop. Each area also has a boss to fight, and the earlier ones utilize the newly obtained upgrades to defeat the boss. The sprite works and the designs of the bosses are really impressive, and my favorite one will be talked about right now. After delivering the scroll to the top of the mountain, the shopkeeper and two other robed strangers, the prophet and the artificer, also known as Tall Guy and Fat Guy, summon the Tower of Time, a large gauntlet to test the messenger's skills, where they wait at the top. Of course, the ninja makes it to the top, and they come face to face with the blue robes who
Do the thing.
Yes, they do the thing and become the Arcane Golem, one big blue-robed JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stand power looking bastard that's one more test for the ninja. This boss, while a lot harder than the ones that preceded it, is incredibly fun. Of course, protagonist wins, and I lied. The final task for the ninja is to perform the leap.
No, don't jump. You have so much to live for.
A little too late there. Performing the leap transports the ninja into the future, changing the art style from NES-like 8-bit to Sega Genesis-like 16-bit.
I thought you wouldn't talk about spoilers in your reviews anymore?
Well, it was shown off in the trailer. The shopkeeper even pokes fun at that.
Fair enough. Keep going.
While the gameplay stays the exact same, the sprites, sound effects, and even the music changes to match the new art style. I lied again. Even after traveling to the future, the game's still not done. After traveling through kind of heaven and literally hell, nothing much, and some totally not plot important details later, the game really opens up. Your dumb ninja ass finally opens up the scroll to reveal a map, and the game completely changes its genre from a linear platformer to a Metroidvania. You can now revisit areas you've been to before and access new ones, and all areas can now transition between the past and the future through time rifts, with the dope music playing all the way through. I won't talk more about this because it has significant plot details, and I don't want you to leave an angry comment about how I ruined your experience with this game, ruined your life, destroyed your family, and burned down your house by catching the bush on fire during the annual BBQ. I'm sorry, okay?
Oddly specific. Did you really?
The music in this game, yeah. The soundtrack in The Messenger is absolutely godlike. I can safely say that there is no bad track in The Messenger's OST at all. The game's chiptune soundtrack, composed by the talented Rainbow Dragon Eyes, is an absolute delight to the ears, and there's two variations for almost every track, matching the time periods. I'll spend some time to play a few tracks for you here, and you'll also hear some other tracks in the background of this video.
Because people in this world can speak, there's dialogue in the Messenger.
Wait, but
Shut. The dialogue in the Messenger is usually humorous, with many jokes, including some that'll hit you over the head later and make you slam your face into your desk because you're dumb enough to not understand it. The majority of the dialogue in the Messenger comes from interactions between the ninja and the shopkeeper, usually when you ask the shopkeeper for stories. Every interaction with the shopkeeper is really funny, with their snarky personality bringing light to this admittedly very dark world.
my personal favorite interaction is when the ninja travels to the future and obtains a sick new hat. Even the shopkeeper seems to find it cool, so the next time you visit the shopkeeper themselves also dons a nice hat. It really is a nice hat though, right?
Hell yeah.
While I do enjoy a challenge in games, I'm not too big of a fan of really hard games. I mean, what the fuck did you expect when I said that Kirby's Epic Yarn was my favorite game? I did greatly enjoy The Messenger though. Even though it's pretty damn hard, it never got to the point where I wanted to stop playing and give up. In fact, my first playthrough of the game totaled to over 1,000 deaths, yet I still finished it. The levels do get a bit tricky even at the very start, but it's nothing that you can't clear. Just spend a couple hundred attempts and have Corbo come to rescue you over and over, and you should be fine. When you do clear it though, oh man, that rush makes you feel wonderful. Is The Messenger a gateway to drugs?
I told you he sucked at video games.
There is a shit ton of extra content in the Messenger. The main optional collectible is the power seals, which are scattered about the game behind platforming challenges that are hard as balls. Of course, they're optional, and your reward is a pretty good weapon, so you could go for them if you want to complete the game fully, but other than that, you don't need to worry about them. The completionist in me wants me to get them all, but my brain told me no unless I want to lose my sanity. There's a lot of achievements in the Messenger's Steam version, including some that, of course, are pretty hard. There's one that requires you to go through the game without dying up until after the boss of the Quillshroom Marsh, and I failed this when I fell in a pit in the Bamboo Creek, easier said than done. The biggest enjoyment I got from the Messenger comes from the overall gameplay and the dialogue. When it comes to the Messenger, satisfaction is the name of the game here.
But you just said it's the Messenger.
Platforming feels absolutely great. I could totally imagine platforming in the Messenger as an anime. I said that I wouldn't make this video weep shit, so I'll just leave it at that. My favorite way to platform in the Messenger is to hold down right and superglue my finger to the button. Combine that with bouncing off of enemies and objects with the rope dart and cloud stepping, that feeling is worth the 2 hours you put into pulling that off. I like it when games are funny and don't take themselves seriously half of the time. Of course, a super serious game does a great job of storytelling and world building, but where's the humor in that? Yeah, that's right, nowhere. The Messenger still does a great job of immersing you into the story, yet still drops jokes in the character interactions every step of the way. In my very humble, not a game developer or storywriter opinion, I think that all games should give deep, philosophical life lessons after explicitly not following orders to not touch a cabinet, and have discussions about trapping Death himself in a pear tree. Yeah, start taking notes, Nintendo. While clearing a hard challenge in the Messenger is incredibly satisfying, this game is hard as balls. You're given checkpoints throughout levels, but they're spaced out quite far, and once you die, you're only respawned by 3 health points until you purchase an upgrade that bumps it up. Guess how much damage spikes do? It is hell for you to die over and over and over, and I'm sure some people actually got pissed at Corbel's insults, though I just found them funny. The game sure is hard, but it never got to the point where it's unbearable, because the great music keeps you going all the way. Most people would probably continue the game to progress the surprisingly deep and interesting story. I progressed the game to get more dialogue from the Shopkeeper. While the Shopkeeper tells you a lot about fighting bosses in the world of the Messenger, the game sometimes doesn't tell you things that are pretty important. For example, on my first playthrough, I was stuck here on this platform because I didn't know how to drop through platforms. Only after fiddling around did I figure out that I was holding down then pressing jump. Later, in the Metroidvania portion of the Messenger, you're given vague hints by the Prophet on where to go, but you can pay time shards to the Shopkeeper to decipher those hints. It's definitely not experience ruining at all, it's just a tiny problem. My final, little gripe with this game is how it progresses. While yes, there are different levels, the majority of the beginning of the game is linear platforming. Only halfway through the journey do you really get into the Metroidvania section of the game. Of course, if you like the linear platforming like I do, great. The entire game is going to be a blast. It's kind of like eating a fancy dinner. It takes a while to get to the main course, but it's not like you hate the appetizers. In fact, sometimes the appetizer is the best part, especially if it's soup. If you hate the soup, get the fuck out. Oh, I should probably have brought this up by now, but I'm a dumbass, so this'll have to do. The Messenger does have some flashing colors, especially in boss fights, because the bosses flash colors when they are low on health, especially in a certain boss in a certain area in the Metroidvania section, where 2 periods of time are like 2 different worlds. I'm talking like this because I'm spoiler blocking, okay?
Alright, time for a little segment I like to call Shiv's Reviews. What's it about? You guessed it. It's me stealing Ohjo's precious video time to voice my own opinion. Now, I think The Messenger is absolutely fantastic, the best Metroidvania title ever, and I rarely have a strong opinion about anything. The platforming, the story, the dialogue, it's all terrific. But what really makes this game for me is the music. Bamboo Boogaloo 2 is just so good. The theme in the Arcane Shoppe is an arcane bop. And Quillshroom Marsh's score is likely the best thing I've ever heard coming from a video game. No, seriously, go listen to it.
I give The Messenger a 9 out of 10. Overall, absolutely amazing game. I love the visuals, I'm a sucker for sprite art, the gameplay is one of the most satisfying games I've played so far, the humor in the game is great, and the chiptune OST is one of the best from any video game I've ever played. I feel that the only really major problem is the way that it progresses, but other than that, it's absolutely incredible. I'd recommend it to anyone who's looking for a challenge, or you're a masochist and want to die a lot. Even if you don't play the game, at least listen to the OST. There's also a free DLC, The Messenger Picnic Panic, which is unlocked after the main story that adds extra levels to the game, as well as even more music tracks and more collectibles, and of course, Tiki Shopkeeper. Very important. What's not important is Picnic Panic's story because it doesn't tie into the main plot at all. I still recommend it if you do decide to get the Messenger, since it's free and it's mostly more of the same game. The devs did say that there would be more DLC if Picnic Panic did well, but I doubt that there would be more since it's been more than a year since Picnic Panic dropped, and Sabotage are working on a new game called Sea of Stars, which is a prequel story to The Messenger but looks and plays completely different. I'm really excited to talk about it once it releases in 2022. Yeah, bold of you to assume we'd actually get through 2020. And even if we do, YouTube will probably implode on itself by that point. A big thanks to schvster for crashing into my video uninvited. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Oh, I just have one thing I would like to ask. Are you gonna eat that egg you brutally destroyed?
Well, excuse me, egghead. I don't like wasting food. Extra bad thing to do.
Never do that again.
Come on, learn to take a yolk.
I am going to fucking kill you. Get the fuck over here.